Hey everyone, Hydra Hut here. This is Hawkman number 4 by Venditti, Hitch, Curry, Skipper, and Enriquez. I know it's spelled Henriquez, but I always thought in Spanish the J replaced the H, so when I see an H, I don't know what to pronounce it as. So I just didn't. So I'm sorry if I got your name wrong, especially if you're not even Spanish. I mean, I guess that could be French. Enrique. Enrique. Henrique. Henrique. I wonder what your first name is, Henrique. We'll get to you eventually. So, I've covered the other 3 Hawkmen. They've been good. I did have a complaint about one of them. It kind of like jumped the ship for Adventure Comics and was kind of meh. But this one's pretty good, albeit Hitch, while he's a very good penciler, does have some issues with perspective, and it could have been an honest accident. But some of the background panels were distractingly bad and kind of take you out of it. Apart from that, though, the story was good. For the most part, the art was okay, apart from a few things. The price is $3.99, which for comics from the big 2 is a good price. Overall, it's pretty expensive, though. Internally, we're right back where we left off with John Carter's basically reliving all of his past lives. But then we get introduced to the Destroyers, which, as it turns out, are Gundams. So I'm pretty excited for that. The Hawkman Gundam should be cool. It's not at all annoying. So, like, I feel back in the day, before manga and anime was so present in the West, these would have been a little bit different. Sorry about the pause. People walking by the car. Don't like monologuing when people are beside me. But I feel that if they weren't so prevalent in the West, these would be giant hawks, not giant Gundams. And you can't say they're not Gundam, because that is exactly the profile of a Gundam. And I don't remember the model, but there are a lot of people that could probably pop off the models of these just by the shadowing, or just by the overcast. So that's a little annoying. That kind of actually took me out of it right away, because destroyer robots, I don't know, kind of lame. They should have been giant hawks, or hawk monsters, or dragons, or something. This really makes it look like that we're gonna find out that the destroyers are like a race of hyper intelligent beings who created humanity, and then they use these as their like central guardians to make sure everything gets taken care of. I don't know. I'm not really liking where they're going with this, to be completely honest. But it's a pretty cool scene. They absolutely ravaged this town, city. Did this say where we were? A faraway world. Far away world, where we were. But back on planet Thanagar, we're joined by John Carter, being chased by John Carter of Thanagar. This is a pretty interesting little scene, but this is also where some of the perspective issues come into play. So obviously these are flying cities, Thanagar is. But let's look at the background. Here we have this statue, right? Erect standing statue. We can assume that it's on something and not just floating in the air, although this platform does kind of leave a little bit to the imagination. But let's look at the actual buildings, shall we? Okay. We can assume that this is the bottom and this is the top, simply based off the picture. Also, the statue follows that same line of thought. So logically, we can assume that the base is down here. But then we got this building going this way. And these buildings. And then these buildings. And then these buildings. And then we keep coming over here, and we got more and more and more. And then like those ones are facing down, like they're coming off of that as the base. So we have a top of a building here, and the top of a building here. I have no idea which way is up and which way is down. This is all very, very confusing. Now, I don't know if this is Hitch's fault or maybe his inker or colorist or something. But then we look over here and it's just a normal cityscape that they're diving down into. Streets, roads, town. So it really kind of pulls you out as you try and figure out what the hell is going on there. The city is cool. It's, I think, supposed to be based off of like Hong Kong or Tokyo, going by well, that clearly is what they used as a reference for drawing this. But I like all the background stuff. Man, they didn't even like hardly change the lettering. if you just go to the world cams and look at some streets of like Japan, this is one of the streets you see, and this is actually this right here, sans the Thanagarians and the people walking. But this image is actually a very popular or famous picture of I think it's Tokyo nightlife. I'll have to see if I can find that picture. I do like all the background stuff. It's a very sexualized world, apparently. For being all about birds. A lot of dames in the advertising. I'm purposely trying to avoid what's happening here because I don't want to ruin anything. It is a good story, though. Let's go ahead and skip a little bit. I will say this, though. If you're not currently reading it, I would probably wait for this to become a trade, because none of the plot twists are all that shocking. None of the twists and turns are all that surprising. And I would say if this was like the heyday of comics when stuff was when it was really easy to find good things to read, I don't think this would be all that great. I think this would be very, very average. But as it stands, in comparison with a lot of what else you can get out there, this is pretty enjoyable. And the art is good, aside from some issues with perspective. Where it ends off, though, I'm going to leave that up to you to find out. Essentially, Hawkman meets up with somebody else that I don't know how he's going to play into his past. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. Also, the cover, grounded on Thanagar, kind of alludes to what happens. I mean, this is supposed to be the old dead Hawkman who he went back in time to see. He doesn't have a silenced gun. It's just this trippy looking gun that I think shoots lasers. And he doesn't actually get arrested, but he almost does. Anyway, I would say I recommend it, but I don't say buy it unless you're a big fan of Hawkman or you've already been reading it. Otherwise, I would just trade wait this. You're not really missing out anything on waiting. Alright, thanks for watching. Boom. Hail Hydra, baby.